Hare Krishna, Ishwari Radha Mataji, Lalitangi Mataji, Ram Babu, Prandal Prabhu, Shankar, Timir, Krishnangi Mataji, Rohini.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So nice to see you all.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. We'll start with the Mangalacharan prayers, and hopefully others will join as we go along. Thank you for joining. Today is going to be a very practical and very meaningful chapter that we'll discuss. And yes, so we'll start with Mangalacharan prayers. Hope others join. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhayascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Matsamo nasti papatma na paradhi cha kaschana parihare pilajjami kim bruve purushottama bhumau skalitapadanam bhumireva avalambanam tvayi jata paradhanam tvameva sharanam prabhu govinda vallabhe radhe prarthaye tvamaham sada tvadiyam iti janatu govindo mam tvaya saha राधे वृंदावनाधीशे करुणामृतवाहिनी कृपया निजपादाब्जा दास्यं मह्यं प्रदीयताम्. राधा राधितराधेश राधिका प्राणवल्लभा राधारमण वन्दे त्वं राधिका प्रेम निर्चिता. I welcome all the devotees that have joined. Ankita Mataji, Priyanka Mataji, Krupanithi Mataji, Krupanithi. Thank you so much for joining, Shankar. Kanai Gopal Pro, Mukta Mataji, Pradeep. So happy to see you all. The Bhagavad Gita has wonderful lessons as given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some of them are very transcendental and somewhat not realized immediately. As we read, we might not immediately realize it, but nevertheless, patient hearing actually will reveal with the faith in Guru will actually reveal the deep messages that are hidden in the Bhagavad Gita. But I'm happy to say today we have the chapter that is very close to us and it's easily perceivable by us. It is easily, at least we can perceive it. Let's hope so. We'll pray to Krishna like that. So let's do the 14th chapter today. And Rohini, where are you? Are you there? So,
Hi,
okay.
Krishna.
Haribol Rohini. So, will you actually make sure that whoever wants to read can post their names in the chat and you can call them out one after another?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, we can start with you and then we can do that. So, if yes, thank you. So, Krishnangi Mataji, if you can go to the default view in the top right. Yes, thank you. Okay.
You mean?
No. Fine. Maybe it's an issue with the website itself, Mataji. There could be an issue with the website. I don't think it is your fault. It could be an issue with the website. When you see that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's not opening for us also separately.
Okay. So I don't know. It is miracle. Krishna's mercy. Actually, I did something for a change. Usually, I'm not this.
It has come. 13 is working. Give me a second.
No. It's fine. It will come. Even the 14th will come then. I welcome to all those who joined just now. In the meanwhile, I'll just share my screen.
Yes, Prabhu.
And then we can continue. Okay. So this one will be. Let me pull up the document.
Prabhu, it's open now.
It's open. It's okay. Let's try with mine for some time.
Yes, Prabhu.
Able to see the screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
All right, Rohini, we can start. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Param Bhuya Pravakshami.
Param Bhuya Pravakshami.
Jnananam Jnanamuttamam.
Jnananam Jnanamuttamam.
Yajñatva Munaya Sarve.
Yajñatva Munaya Sarve.
Param Siddhim Ito Gataha.
Param Siddhim Ito Gataha. Translation. By becoming.
No. Actually, this is the second one. Yeah, this one. Sorry.
Okay. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection."
Thank you. Let's do something in the meanwhile. This should be even better. All right. So Krishna is mentioning here, again, I shall declare to you that supreme wisdom, the best of knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained supreme perfection. This is a little confusing. One might ask the question, well, what was Krishna saying till now then? Because, the knowledge that he gave thus far seems to be the best knowledge, but then he's saying the best of all knowledge. So, what does Krishna mean by best? And I would like you, the wonderful Vaishnavas in the audience, to hold on to that thought. And when we come back to the end of chapter, somebody please ask me that question. Why did Krishna say that? But in the purport, it's mentioned from the 7th chapter to the end of 12th chapter, Sri Krishna in detail reveals the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, the Lord is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this through the process of philosophical speculation, he'll come to understand devotional service. Now, this can be a little bit of a puzzling statement by Srila Prabhupada, that why is he mentioning about the fact of philosophical speculation? Let me give an example to clarify that. When a man or a person is in prison, they can find out the ways and means of how the control happens in the prison and what the rules are. And then you can come to the conclusion that there is a president or a prime minister of a particular country who can ensure your release from prison, which might not be apparent to begin with. Or the other option is you might be already aware and working towards it. So Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here, even if you analyze this chapter through the philosophical speculation, then you actually come to the conclusion that one has to surrender to Krishna. And why does he say that? We'll come to in a minute. In the 13th chapter, it has been clearly explained that by humbly developing the knowledge, one may possibly be free from material entanglement. It has also been explained that it is due to the association of the modes of material nature, the living entity is entangled in this material world. And that particular verse is the 13th chapter, 22nd verse, where the famous verse where Krishna says that, let's look up 13th chapter, 22nd verse. I'll share it, or even if not, you can just, don't need to go deep into it. It is the famous verses, Purusha Prakritistohi, Bhunkte Prakriti Changuna, Karanam Guna Sangosya, Sadasad Yoni Janmasi. The living entity in the material world thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of material nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among species. So the living entity's connection or enjoyment with the material modes of nature is something that causes the bondage of the jiva. Then Krishna is explaining or expanding on what the material modes constitute and how what can be done. All right. So Krishnangi Mataji, after this particular verse, if the website is still working, then you can project your screen. Is that okay? So who are the next three?
So next is Timir Pramu, then after him is Rambabu Pramu, then Kripatita Mataji.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, Timir. Idam jnanam upashritya.
Idam jnanam upashritya.
Mama sadharmyam agata.
Mama sadharmyam agata.
Sarge nopi jayante.
Sarge pinopajayante.
Pralaye na vyatanti cha.
Pralaye na vyathanti cha. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I'll ask a question. Aha, the Mayavadis say. This is the verse, defining verse in Bhagavad Gita, that you become one with God. And then by that extension, you become God, because Krishna is saying, you become me. What is the answer to that?
Like my nature, Krishna is saying, you will attain my nature.
Wonderful. Yeah. Why nature? Rambabu, you had something opened up as well.
No, Praj, I was about to the same thing.
Right, right. Yeah, Krishna is saying, and Srila Prabhupada is quick to clarify, one does not, however, lose his identity as individual soul. It is understood from Vedic literatures that liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Lord. It's mentioned here, right? So being engaged in his transcendental service. So even after liberation, the devotees not lose their individual identity. Cool. Any questions? Any comments? Okay. Krishnangi Mataji, you want to share? Or all right. Good. All right. Rambabu, you're there?
Yes.
First together. All right. Mamayo nirmahad brahma
Mama yonir mahad brahma
tasmin garbham dadamyaham
tasmin garbham dadamyaham
sambhavah sarva bhutanam
sambhavah sarva bhutanam
tato bhavati bharata.
tato bhavati bharata. Translation. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings. O son of Bharata.
Thank you. So Krishna specifically answers this question here. You know, we have the question. So which came first, the egg or the
Chicken.
Thank you. Well, so what is the answer to that? People have this conundrum. But Krishna is saying that unless that is the beauty. We know it is there. Material nature has a way to tell that there is Krishna or a controller that is behind it. But we choose not to see it, or we cannot understand. I'll give another example. Did we read in our, I don't know which class, maybe 3rd grade, 4th grade, the law of conservation of matter? Matter can be neither created nor destroyed, but can be converted from one energy to another. Now, the big question you should ask is, if man cannot create or destroy matter, and this is science that you have proven it yourself, then who created matter? There must be somebody who's created matter. And that is just the material, like the gross thing. And then when you see life, you really will be, having this chicken or egg question with no answer to it. And unless you accept the words of Krishna saying that I am the seed-giving father. In the beginning, there must have been a way or some power to create the living entities from which all the life has come. It's pretty obvious. And Krishna is saying the same thing here. For those who are interested in knowing more about creation, in the 2nd and 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, extensive description is given. In fact, there are 10 subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam, and those are mentioned in the 10th chapter of the 2nd canto, the 1st verse, which gives the 10 subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, Atra sarga visargocha sthanam poshanam utthaya manvantareshanukata nirodha muktirashraya. There are 10 subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the primary or the first subject amongst those is called Sarga. Sarga is the act of creation. How did this whole thing come about? Who created it? And how is the interaction happening? If you see, it's really amazing. If you take some fire, right? And if you take some water, if you take some air, and if you take some earth, and it's mixed in a space, can you do anything with that? Any life can come out of it? No, it is just a lump of matter. It just scatters over a period of time. But let's look at this human body. It's so perfectly tuned. Do we have fire in our human body? Do we have water?
Yes.
70% of the whole. Do we have air? Do we have ether? Everything is so perfectly balanced to create this human body that we have it here, that it's impossible to actually have this meaningless theory to say that there is no God, everything just happened by chance. If somebody says that to you, you should say, dear sir, I will provide you all the building materials. I'll provide you all the building, the doors, the sinks, the bathrooms, the roof material, the joists, everything I'll provide it to you. And I'll also give you a huge big bomb. I'll please take all the materials, put a bomb below it, and then the house should automatically come about. Boom, the house has come about. How can you actually say to this that, when you can't prove this on a level, then how can you do this? And in any case, I'm digressing. So here Krishna is saying the same thing, that the Mahat Tattva or the material nature is the place where I impregnate. And Srila Prabhupada actually gives a very beautiful analogy in the purport. In the previous days in India, in villages, when the rice came, or when the rice was harvested, it used to be stored in like big piles in the house, right? Before it kind of either in the piles in the piles in the house, or in the go down, or in the fields, or wherever, right? And then the scorpion would burrow through the rice, and it would lay the eggs. And then after that, you can see the baby scorpions coming from within the rice. And then, oh my God, I see. Now I know who is the mother of the baby scorpions. It's the rice. It is not. Rice is inert. Somebody has to have laid their eggs. So similarly, Krishna or Vishnu impregnates this material nature with the living entities, and he says, I am the seed-giving father. All right. Text 4.
Prabhuji, question.
Yes. Can I go back?
Here the total material substance is referred to as Brahman.
Yeah.
How does it connect with the understanding of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan?
Thank you. So here, the specific terminology, Kanai Gopal Prabhu, is Mahat Brahman. So if you check the particular verse, it is called Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma. Mahat. So Mahat actually is a combination of Mahat Tattva and Brahman together that pervades this material existence. And that is where Krishna is specifically using Mahat Brahman. So is that clear? Thank you. Perfect. First time when I read, I had the same question. I don't understand. Okay. Text 4. Sarvayonishu Kaunteya
Sarvayonishu Kaunteya
Murtaya Sambhavantiyaha
Murteya Sambhavantiya
Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir
Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir
Aham Bija Pradapita.
Aham Bija Pradapita. Translation: It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in the material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Thank you.
Thank you. So Krishna is so emphatic. Here he's saying that, till now he is saying that I am responsible for your existence in this world. But then in the next entire chapter, up till almost 18 to 19 verses, or up to 18th to 19th verse, Krishna is talking of the modes of material nature. And then I will be asking you after each section, what is the theme in this? So quiz. Text 5. So Rohini, next 3 devotees, please.
Next is Prananath Das Prabhu, and then Shankar Prabhu, and then Ankita Mataji.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, Pranath Prabhu. Sattvam rajas tama iti
Sattvam rajas tama iti
guna prakriti sambhava
guna prakriti sambhava
nibadnanti mahabaho
nibadnanti mahabaho
dehe dehi namavyayam.
dehe dehinam avyayam. Translation. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you.
So, one of the big questions that will come up is, when the eternal living entity comes in contact, when did that happen? That is one of the biggest questions devotees usually have. Like, how did that happen? They really want to know, how did that happen? Well, Srila Prabhupada, I will reiterate the same thing, because that question will be asked you again and again. Probably when you start teaching or preaching or having home programs, there will be always this question. So how did I come here? If God is all merciful, why did he put me here? And this material world is tough. There is little to no doubt about the fact that just the day-to-day existence and how the Kali Yuga is progressing. I was reading a book about time management, and then it seems it was funny. In 1930, there was a particular, I don't remember the name. I can give you the exact reference and the name, so on and so forth, if you like. That particular person predicted that 50 to 60 to 70 years from now, there is no need of doing job. For the two reasons: the technology will be so advanced, and there will be so much of money that will be developed or generated because of economy. People don't have to work anymore, and they might have to work maximum 15 hours a week. The big problem at that time is not that they have to work, but how to deal with the boredom of not having to work. And 1930, this is 2021, 91 years later, you are struggling more than ever. Yes or yes? Or is it just me? It's like frantic. If it's not the WhatsApp, it is the Facebook. If it's not the Facebook, it is the Twitter. If it's not, it is one thing after another. People are so frenzied. There are so many avenues of communication, but there is no communication. The time has become so constrained. So the question will always crop up: how did I come here? What did I do to come here? And again, I will use exactly the 4 words: misuse of minute independence. The jiva has independence, very, very minute, and the jiva has the will. So if the independence is misused, then you come here. And Krishna is saying that the living entity comes in contact with the material world and is conditioned. That's about it. And then how the conditioning happens, what are the effects, are mentioned in the next few verses. Text 6. Ready? Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatva.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I ask a question?
Yes, Namaswaran Prabhu. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Yes, definitely. Tatra sattvam. Oh, okay. We have a time lag. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandat Pranam.
Yeah, and oh, okay. We have a time lag. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
All right, Namaswaran Prabhu. We'll read the verse and then you can ask a question later, or because there is a lot of echo going on back and forth.
Sounds good, Prabhuji.
No. Okay, you can ask. You can ask Prabhu now that it's clearer. I can't hear you, Namaswaran Prabhu. Sorry.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I think I am having two different cell phones and the TV going on. So
I see. Okay.
yeah. So Prabhuji, what I was trying to ask is the minute independence and the will to enjoy, right? Is it also can be termed as like jealousy of the Lord? That why he's enjoying, I also want to enjoy, and that's how Lord says, okay, I give you a chance to enjoy.
Yes. Sometimes it can come about. It either the biggest question, I think again it will be a chicken or egg situation. If nobody falls from the spiritual world, then how did I fall? Because Krishna is saying, once you come back to me, then you are not going to come back to this material world. But I did come back sometime. So is that statement true? The answer to that, the Acharya says, there is no time. There is no anadi, means which there is no beginning at which the living entity came into contact with this material world. But yet we are here, in the contact with the material world. Okay.
Right. Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you. I actually, Namasaran Prabhu, I'll pick on you and Bhumika Mataji. No, actually, never. I won't do that. Okay. Assume that a person is actually, going on a cruise, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a boat. You can mute Namasaran Prabhu, but I'll if that's okay with you.
Sure, Prabhu.
Thank you. So assume that the person is going on a boat. It's a beautiful vacation that we have taken after a long time, and so there was a beautiful evening of food, festivities, and music, and the stars were nice, the ocean was peaceful, and they had a day at fun on the ship, and they go to their respective berths where they have to sleep for the night, and they sleep at night. Something happens in the night that the ship actually collapses and it's in the sea. And this person wakes up in the middle of the sea, is clutching onto the lifeboat or a raft or something that stays afloat. And help has been called, and there is a Coast Guard ship that is coming and that has come. And the Coast Guard throws a rope to this particular person and says, please catch on to the rope. You will come back to me. What would anybody do in that situation?
Yeah, they should catch the rope.
No, but this person says, no. First, give me the answer. How did I come into this water? Which part of the ship malfunctioned? Whether the screws got loose, there was a corrosion problem, mechanical failure, electrical failure, human error. What happened? Tell me first. And the Coast Guard person will say, thank you, Baba. I have so many people to save. You stay and think about it. The question is that our situation is like that of a person who's stuck at sea, and we can get out. And I'll tell you one thing. Well, don't I need to know the answer? Somebody might say, yes, you need to know the answer. But I'll promise you one thing, that nobody can give you the answer except Krishna. So go back to Krishna and ask him.
Makes sense, Prabhuji.
Because even Lord Brahma, he might say that I'm just living for one lifetime. I myself don't know what I was before I was born. And you were here way before my time. How would I know, where you came from? Krishna impregnated you. I gave you whatever I needed to give you. A jail warden is like Brahma. I don't know why the judge or sentenced you. What was the problem? I don't know. I don't care. You have come to my jail. Now deal with it. Right? So same way Brahma is saying the same thing. So our best hope is that we kind of accept the fact that our situation is little troublesome, and then we take the rope of devotional service and the rope of holy name and go back to Krishna. And you can ask him, he's still that desire. Krishna, why did you put me? And then he'll give you the perfect answer.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Text 6. Shankar.
Yes, Prabhu.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat
prakashakam anamayam
prakashakam anamayam
sukasangena badnati
sukasanyena badnati
jnana sangena chanaga.
jnana sanyena chanaga. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode, become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Next verse. Text 7. Who's next, Rohini? Sorry.
Next is Ankita Mataji.
Ankita Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So nice to see you. Dandavats Pranam.
So good to hear from you. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi
Rajo ragatmakam vidhi
Krishna sanga samudbhavam
Trishna sanga samudbhavam
Tannibadnati kaunteya
Tannibhatnati kaunteya
Karma sangena dehinam.
Karma sangena dehinam. Translation. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions.
Thank you. Next 3, Rohini.
Next is Ishwari Radha Mataji, then Mukta Mataji, and then Shaha Pramod.
Wonderful. All right. All right, Mataji. Tamastam ajnanam jam vidhi
Tamastam ajnana jam vidhi
Mohanam sarvadehinam
mohanam sarvadehinam
Pramadalasya nidrabhis
pramadalasya nidrabis
Tannibadnati bharata.
tannibadanti bharata. Translation. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So these 3 verses, what is the common thread? What is the common thread amongst these 3 verses in the modes of material nature? The first one,
binding?
Binding. Excellent. Okay. Anybody else had any other thoughts? How they bind, right? How the modes of material nature bind. So the mode of goodness binds with the sense of happiness, right? And if you can see here, the mode of goodness, actually, I have seen quite a few people when I go on book distribution, especially in the Indian stores and other places, and especially, now I know Bhagavad Gita. They are very pious people. They are, apparently in the mode of goodness. They are doing a lot of puja, worshipping the demigods. Yeah. I know Bhagavad Gita. I'm set. I'm set. You don't have to tell me. The idea is that kind of happiness is in the mode of goodness in one sense, because they are kind of satisfied and they think they know. So the mode of goodness also is a problem. I can say, okay, I've been the mode of goodness. Why worry about Krishna? We'll come to that also in a bit. The mode of passion is like unlimited hankering. I'm not satisfied with one thing. I need to improve. I need to increase upon it. And the corporate world is just like that. Every year you need to do better, more money, and somehow or other the corporation has to earn. It's a very passionate place, and it can kind of clash with our ideals sometimes, but it is what it is. We have to get some work done there. And then the mode of ignorance is just characterized by darkness. Here, the big thing is tamastvam ajnanam. In the verse, it is 8th verse, it's mentioned tamastvam ajnanam jam vidhi. Ajnana means ignorance. The soul is so completely covered by ignorance, no idea of what reality is. It's a very, very, like a very peculiar situation. And I'll come to that point as well. Because Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, in the purport to the verse 8, in this verse, the specific application of the word to is quite significant, right? And that means the mode of ignorance is very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul. Okay, Shankar, you had a question. Muted, you're on mute, Shankar.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So when we are discussing about continuous hankering, I had this doubt always at the back end of my brain, like how to find the right balance. So I'm a recent graduate, and right now I'm very new to the industry, Prabhu. And then so I'm working in a specific company, and then I want to continuously keep going in my career. I want to improve my career in such a way that I can gather some resources so that I can live peacefully for the rest of my life. And there is a story called like, if we give, okay, if there is a sack of rice, if an animal come, they'll eat whatever they require and then they'll go. But the humans, what they'll do is they'll take the entire sack of rice. So, I mean, it is selfish. If we see from one perspective, it is selfish, and from the other perspective, it is like planning for tomorrow. So, like you usually discuss the examples of Tesla. Like I can buy a Tesla or I can buy a small, the basic one, but I don't know how to hit the right balance, Prabhu. Can you please discuss a bit about it?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you for your candid and very relevant question. There are multiple angles of discussion to that question. And I'll probably start with the most personal, which is like, what is my nature? And in the material world or in this age, it's very hard to know what's my nature. What is it that I do gives me happiness? Am I more in the mode of passion? Am I more in the mode of goodness or ignorance? What is the nature? So based on one's nature, if one can find the employment, that will be nice. But then I want to add the caveat, more often than not, the expediency of earning money overrides all those things. You know, I don't know what my nature is. I need a job. I need to work. And I get that. And one should do it as well. Maybe that's your nature at that point of time, that, you know, you have to, because you didn't get a choice growing up, that you were forced to actually go to college. Maybe you wanted to start your own business, or maybe you wanted to drop out of college or school, and maybe you could have done many things, but you were forced to go to college. Now you are in a situation where employment is something, a most viable option, and you should do that. That is one aspect. The second aspect is selfishness, or gaining or taking more than what is needed or in future. It all depends on your ashram. In the Bhagavatam, it is mentioned, how much can sannyasi have for future? How much can sannyasi take for future? The answer is whatever that his stomach can fit. Whatever you eat, that's it. Next meal, you never even bother about next meal. Where is it going to come from? And that is a level of sannyasi. And if you say, oh man, I have taken sannyas, but I'm not sure where the next meal is going to come from, then maybe I get me for some today, from tomorrow, for a week now. So that is not, sannyasi shouldn't think like that. In the modern context, there could be a reason for that. Don't get me wrong. For example, if the sannyasi is going on a long flight to India, then you might need to take some prashadam and be practical about it. But by and large, the mentality of sannyasi is that whatever can fit my belly, I'll take that. But for a grihastha, you should actually do that. You cannot live like a sannyasi. Prabhu, you're married, so what are you doing? I don't know, Prabhu. Whatever God gives me, I'll just, whatever comes, it will come. You're a grihastha, you have to maintain yourself. So it all depends. And the fourth point is, if you have to work hard, you have to work hard for the job, but not at the cost of one's sadhana. So put in your maximum effort, 8, 10, 12 hours, whatever it takes. Everybody has their own field, everybody has their own stresses, everybody has their own requirements. But the day should be planned so that I can have time for sadhana, and I should have time for at least chanting my 16 rounds or whatever vows I've taken about chanting the Hare Krishna Maha. And then rest, whatever comes will come. Because in the chapter later, it's so profound that when you carefully see that these modes of material nature are acting and so different, Shankar, you won't be so involved in hoping and praying that the security comes from whatever you can hold in future, because there is no security there. The security relies only in the devotional service to Krishna. Is that helpful?
Yes, Prabhu.
Any further questions or thoughts on that?
Yes, Prabhu. I will practice it, and then later when I got questions, I will reach out to you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. This is Pandit. Quick question. So,
can you just hold on for a minute?
Sure.
Sachinandana Hari Prabhu had raised his hand. So once he asked the questions, and can I get back to you, Pradeep? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji Dandat Pranam. Prabhuji, here it is mentioned one of the result of runs is sleep, but sleep is one of the thing which a human require. He has to take that. So how to understand means what exactly sleep means? What is this result like sleep? Can you just throw some light on this, Prabhuji?
Again, an excellent question, Sachinandan Hari Prabhu. And Krishangi Mataji, if you go to the last 3 to 4 lines of the purport, please. 6 hours, right? Actually, no, before that, thus another symptom of one embedded. It is thus another symptom of one embedded in the mode of ignorance is that he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours is sufficient, but a man in the mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of a person conditioned by the mode of ignorance. So Sachinandan Hari Prabhu, sleep is a part of the day. And Srila Prabhupada mentions 6 hours. But again, it all depends on one's age. For example, children might need more time, and teenagers might need a little more time. But as you grow older, then 6 hours or 6 to 7 hours is good enough. And if you can regulate like that, then then that should be helpful. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. But Prabhuji, this doesn't involve if someone is having some medical thing, like if he's having an issue related to that, then he may take more than that, but he doesn't come under mode of ignorance, right?
Yeah, correct. Again, even for those who don't have medical conditions, one cannot artificially, if I'm used to sleeping 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day, to artificially come to 6 hours might be tough. And I'll give the example. If in the morning one wakes up and one has to chant the rounds, and the rounds are Hare Krishna, don't do that. It's okay. Sleep for whatever time you need to sleep, but the round should be really, really attentive. And that's where my own understanding of, how my body is and how to regulate it, that is the art and science of yoga. Because after a stage, you'll stop chanting, and the chanting is really ineffective. You neither are getting your sleep nor your chanting is effective. So you get the idea. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, definitely. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Pradeep?
Yeah, quick question. Thanks. Quick question. So, like you said, sannyasi should take whatever he can eat, right? So,
Right.
what is the rule for the grihastha?
Grihastha is, the rule of thumb is at least you should have 1 to 2 months of supplies, rice, especially rice. Obviously, vegetables and milk you cannot have 1 to 2 months, but at least grains you should have 1 to 2 months of supply.
Okay. We should not collect anything more than 2 months if we're following this devotional path.
More than devotional, Pradeep, it's a matter of logistics. If you have that kind of place and that inclination, you can collect it, but the rice might get spoiled over a period of time if you keep it for many, many years. It's just a practical example.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And given the small houses in Bay Area, we might have pantry problem as well. The pantries are really small. Yeah. Text 9. Sorry, Rohini, I'm going to ask you who's next.
Next is Mukta Mataji.
Mukta Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam.
Dandat Pranam. If you need cakes, you should go to Mukta Mataji. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Raja karmani bharata.
Raja karmani bharata.
Jnanam avritya tu tamaha.
Jnanam avritti tu tamaha.
Pramade sanjayatyuta.
Pramade sanjayati uta. Translation: O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance, covering one's knowledge, binds one to madness.
Thank you. Next verse.
Next is Payal Atul Prabhu.
Payal. Hi, Haribol Payal. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Pranam Prabhuji. Yeah.
Rajastamascha
Rajastamascha
Sattvam bhavati bharata.
Sattvam bhavati bharata.
Raja sattvam tamaschaiva.
Raja sattvam tamaschaiva.
Tamah sattvam rajastata.
Tama sattvam rajastaha tatha. Translation: sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy.
Hare Krishna. Now you see the irony of the whole thing, that a man or a woman, I am the controller, I am the power of this world, but you can see how the modes themselves are fighting among themselves for supremacy, and they're just dragging the living entity. One question. The second thing is, Haribol Mataji, Haribol, how are you? Okay. This all seem to be great, but so far I'm getting the feeling I'm completely helpless with the modes of material nature. Yes or yes? I'm born Jiva. I'm into this world. The modes are strong. They are, throwing me every which way. But me, what about how can I get out? And we'll come to that later. One way it is mentioned here is that Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, if you see the purport there, but if one wants, we can have the clue from there. If you can go the purport, okay, let me do one thing. I can actually ask for can ask for sharing the screen. No, not sharing the screen, Krishangi Mataji. I can just point to the screen that you are showing. That will be wonderful. Let's do that.
Yes, Prabhu.
You can give me control. You can give me control.
You will be able to do, Prabhu. But I'm not sure if I'm sharing, you can.
No, you can. I'll just give me once.
You're a co-host, so if you have to, you can do it.
But if I show something on the screen, others won't see it. Wait, 1 minute. I will cancel. Okay. So you are able to see my movement of the mouse on this?
No, Prabhu.
That is the thing. Okay.
Yeah, I do see now.
You are able to see me?
No, Prabhu.
There is a way where you can ask control for the.
I think when you share it, then you can do it, Prabhu, because
there are 2 ways of doing it, I think.
Okay.
It's okay. Let's not try right now, but we'll do it later. So if you see but if one wants in the middle, from 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I do see.
Fifth line. But if one wants, he can develop by practice the mode of goodness. Exactly. So if you see here, Srila Prabhupada is saying that by doing certain activities, because we say, okay, Bhakti Yoga, get up in the morning, chant your rounds, don't do this, don't do that, don't eat this, don't eat that. It's too much of rules here, right? I mean, this is hard. But why do we do this? The whole idea is that by doing these rules and regulations, we come to the mode of goodness, and that mode of goodness will help us advance further. So next verse. The next few verses actually talk about the symptoms of the modes. For now, Krishna talks about how the modes condition or bind the soul. The next are the symptoms of a person who is in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. All right, Rohini, who's next?
Next is Sumit Pramu, then Naveen Pramu, and then Namsparan Pramu.
Thank you. All right, Sumit. Sarvadvareshu dehesmin.
Sarvadvareshu dehismin.
Oh, it is Sachinananda. Sorry. Prakasha upajayate.
Prakasha upajayate.
Jnanam yada tada vidyat.
Jnanam yada tada vidyat.
Vivriddham sattva ityuta.
Vivriddham sattvam iti yuta. Translation. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the
2 o'clock.
Sorry.
By knowledge.
Thank you. And then let's see what is the symptom of the mode of passion. When somebody is really in the mode of passion. Next, text 12. Lobha pravrittirarambha.
Lobha pravrittirarambha.
Karmana ashamaspriha.
Karmanam asamaspriha.
Rajasyetani jayante.
Rajasetani jayante.
Vivruddhe bharatarshava.
Vivruddhe bharatarshava. Translation. O chief of Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop.
Can you also do the purport now? It's a short purport.
Sure. Purport. One in the mode of passion is never satisfied with the position he has already acquired. He hankers to increase his position. If he wants to construct a residential house, he tries his best to have a palatial house, as if he would be able to reside in that house eternally, and he develops a great hankering for sense gratification. There is no end to sense gratification. He always wants to remain with his family and in his house and to continue the process of sense gratification. There is no cessation of this. All these symptoms should be understood as characteristic of the mode of passion.
Thank you.
Very well.
Text 13. Aprakasho pravrittischa
Aprakasho pravrittischa
pramado moha evacha
pramado moha evacha
tamasyetani jayante
tamashyetani jayante
vivriddhe kurunandana.
vivruddhe gurunandana. Translation. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So now, Saran Prabhu, please do the purport as well.
Sure, Prabhuji. Purport. When there is no illumination, knowledge is absent. One in the mode of ignorance does not work by a regulative principle. He wants to act whimsically, for no purpose. Even though he has the capacity to work, he makes no endeavor. This is called illusion. Although consciousness is going on, life is inactive. These are the symptoms of one in the mode of ignorance.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So the difference between the goodness and mode of ignorance seems to be the same, that they are not very active. Yes or yes, right? The person who is in the mode of goodness is not running around trying to make money or doing this. And mode of ignorance also is person like, whatever, yeah, I don't mind. So what is the difference between these two? The biggest difference between ignorance and goodness is goodness has knowledge. Goodness has cessation of activity based on knowledge, whereas ignorance means completely lack of knowledge. There is no, there is no question of having any, awareness of what is to be done, what is not to be done, what is right, what is wrong. Nothing. It's just completely under the control of mind. So that is a difference between mode of ignorance and mode of goodness, even though on one level they seem to be the same. Sachinandana Hari Prabhu.
Sorry, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have one question related to the one of the as you mentioned now that one person like who is in mode of ignorance, he doesn't do anything like. But in Bhagavatam, Dattatreya, Lord Dattatreya, he mentioned like 20. One of the guna he mentioned is that ajagar vritti, means vritti of a python. So
yeah.
So how to understand? Like he mentioned that as one of the guna, and here it is mentioned. It is if he is inactive, then it is a part of ignorance. So just I got confused with that.
Did everybody get the question, or should I explain a little bit of ajagar vritti? So in Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that, I think in the Avanti Brahmana section, also one of the gurus is Python. So Python doesn't really go and
Hare
Krishna. I think we lost Prabhuji.
Okay.
Are you able to hear me now? Because I think the internet got disconnected.
Yes, Prabhuji. We
Yes,
can
Prabhu.
hear you now.
Yes.
Perfect. So Python seems to be like mentioned in Bhagavatam, and and it's in really doing nothing. And that's such a beautiful question, Sachin. So is the question clear?
No, Prabhu, could you repeat the question or
Yes.
paraphrase it?
No, thank you, Amartya. So let's go. Actually, I will see if we can get that in Bhagavatam. It's in the, let's be. Actually, let's go to 7, 13, 16, 17. 7, 13, and 16. Let's go to 13. And then if you see, 11, let's go to 13, chapter number 13. The behavior of a perfect person. It also falls under the title. And if you see 11, as a historical example of this, sages recite the story of an ancient discussion between Prahlad Maharaj and a great saintly person who was feeding himself like a python. And the next verse it is mentioned, Prahlad Maharaj, the most dear servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, once went out touring the universe with some of his confidential associates. Mate, just go back, Mate. Yeah, I'll just reading the translation, so it will be easier. Okay, fine. Thus he arrived at the bank of Kaveri, where there was a mountain known as Sahya. There he found a great saintly person who was lying on the ground, covered with dirt and dust, but was deeply spiritually advanced. Neither by that saintly person's activities, by his bodily features, by his words or symptoms of his varnashram status, could people understand whether he was the same person they had known. The next verse. The advanced devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, duly offered worship and offered obeisances to the saintly person who had adopted a python's means of livelihood. After thus worshipping the saintly person and touching down his head to the saint's lotus feet, Prahlad Maharaj, in order to understand him, inquired very submissively as follows. And the questions come, we can read. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So text 35. Text 35 is one. We can go and see that a little bit. 35, if you go down a little bit, Matthew. Yeah. The bee and the python are two excellent spiritual masters who give us exemplary instructions regarding how to be satisfied by collecting only a little and how to stay in one place and not move. And then 36 is the bumblebee, and 37, I do not endeavor to get anything, but I'm satisfied with whatever is achieved in its own way. If I do not get anything, I'm patient and unagitated like python and lie down in this way for many days. 38. Sometimes I eat a very small quantity and sometimes a great quantity. Sometimes the food is very palatable and sometimes it is stale. Sometimes prasad is offered with great respect and sometimes food is given neglectfully. Sometimes I eat during the day, sometimes I eat at night. Thus I eat whatever is easily available. and Sachinandan Hari Prabhu's question is, this looks somewhat like mode of ignorance, no? I mean, like this person is supposed to be a very exalted personality, and but he's not doing anything. Is that, did I understand your question correctly, Sachinandan Hari?
Yes, Prabhuji. Means 37 translation says that thing, like he's not doing anything. He's just lying, and whatever is coming on his way, he's accepting that, and that is Ajagar Vikti is showing. Looks like he's inactive. So, but here Brahmana, or that Avduta Brahmana, is a transcendental personality. So just I got confused with that thing. So,
but it is clear now. Okay. I'll explain. These personalities are transcendental. They are beyond the modes of material nature, and their consciousness is fixed in Krishna, and they are absorbed in Vasudeva Sattva. So they have transcended the body, and because they have transcended the body is still existing because they don't commit suicide or something like that. Then they are saying, whatever Krishna gives me, I'm fine. If a person can go weeks without eating, I think we can all try that for a change. Let's try for like 3 days. I'll sit at one place and whatever comes, I eat. Well, most of us, at least I'll speak for myself, it will be very hard for me because I'm pushed by the modes of material nature. But if you're transcendental, then your body is not, or you're not too worried about where the food is going to, because anxiety will eat the conditioned soul. Where is my food going to come from? But for him, he knew that Krishna, if he gives me something, I'll eat. And if he doesn't, sometimes the food is stale, sometimes. If you have that kind of self-control, then you don't need to work at all. Because the other part, the answer to your question, Sachinandana Hari Prabhu, is 3rd chapter and verse number, I think 8. Let me look it up. Let's see, is that correct? No. 3rd chapter. 17. 3rd chapter, 17. Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 17th verse. Yasyatma ratireva syad atma triptascha manava atmanyeva cha santushtas tasya karyam na vidyate. For one who takes pleasure in self, whose human life is one of self-realization, who is self-satisfied in self only, fully satiated, and for him there is no for him there is no
duty. There is no duty.
So if you are in the modes of material nature, then it is a different thing rather than when you have completely transcended. So when you have transcended the modes of material nature, you have no duty to perform. And that's the reason, because you're not connected with your body, you will just depend on Krishna. And then if one is in that position where one is completely satisfied with whatever food comes, when it comes, and you can eat, then you can be like a python. Otherwise, one has to work. Is that clear, or is there any further point?
Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhuji. I think this verse tells everything. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So this particular Brahmana was completely liberated from the material conditioning or the modes of material nature, which we all can, and that will be the big question, and then we can get there. Thank you, Prabhu, for the question. Pradeep?
Prabhuji, sorry, I think I lost the question.
I mean, you did not understand the question, or is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay. All right.
I got the answer, but I lost the question. That answer.
Question is that, in the pages of Bhagavatam, we learn of a person who is not moving, is fixed at one place and not moving from that place, and not trying to earn food or apply for jobs and so on and so forth, and then or apply for benefits from government. So and then is he not also in the mode of ignorance? Means like he's not doing anything to maintain himself. And how is it different from this that we are reading right now? And ironically, that is mentioned in the behavior of a perfect person. So can I take intoxication and sleep all day long and be the perfect person? Because that's what is mentioned in the perfect person. Is that
Okay.
Is the question clear?
Yes.
All right.
Got it.
All right. So how is everybody doing? Everybody's okay? I'll actually.
Prabhuji, I must say, wow, 3.17, like that was the perfect answer. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, who was that? I didn't see.
Kanai Gopal Das, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, thank you, Prabhuji. No, I actually for a moment it was thank you. Yes, thank you, Kanai Gopal Prabhu. Yeah. So if we are in that position, then we don't have to work. We can resign from the work and we can stay at home, knowing Krishna will get you, feed you. All right. Then the next verses. Okay. From 14, what is the theme of the three verses? Anybody? Just you can type in or you can unmute.
The destination based on the modes?
Yes, after death where you're going. Excellent, thank you. Text 14. Who's next?
Santosh Prabhu is next.
Yada sattve pravriddhetu pralayam yati dehabhrit tadottama vidam lokan amalan pratipadyate.
Translation. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of the great sages. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Santosh. Next.
Next is Kanai Gopal Prabhu.
Excellent. Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate tata
pralinas tamasi
mudhayonishu jayate.
Translation. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom.
Thank you. So by this imagination, sometimes you get this thought. I remember, I was in growing up in India, I was in 10th grade or 7th grade, one of those like important grades. Otherwise, your whole future will become completely destroyed, and you are going to be a homeless guy. The fear was intense. So there were tests after tests. There was quarterly. There was semifinals. There was this. Oh my God, that was too much. And one day, actually, I was going to school and getting up in the morning. I didn't sleep well. I don't know what happened. I was getting up and we were riding to school on bike, and I saw this dog on the street. I said, life of this dog is so great. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to worry about tests. You don't have to worry about pass marks. Whatever you get, you eat, whatever life goes on. Maybe the life is great. And it seems like that, but the fact of matter is, when you read Bhagavad Gita, you'll say, thank you, Krishna, for giving me this life, because at least I can remember you. In the dog's life, because of the more deep mode of ignorance, it's completely, their whole life is so away from Krishna. It's a very sad life. So, sometimes it might feel like that, but yeah, okay. Text. So if you die in the mode of goodness, you go to the planet of demigods. If you die, you stay on the earth, and then otherwise you go down. Text 16.
Next is Venkatesh Prabhu.
Okay, Venkatesh Prabhu, thank you. Karmana sukrityasu.
Karmana sukrityahu.
Satvikam nirmalam phalam.
Satvikam nirmalam phalam.
Rajasastu phalam dukkham.
Rajasastu phalam dukkham.
Jnanam tamasa phalam.
Ajnanam tamasa phalam. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness. But action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in mode of ignorance results in foolishness.
Thank you. So hands were raised. Kripatitanath, you had a question?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. My question is, it seems that there is a separation of the different modes, but in reality, in one person, at one point, we could be in goodness, passion, and ignorance. I think of the combination of the primary colors and, the mixing. Can I say that is how the situation is?
Excellent. Yes, you can say that. The reason being, you are right. But one thing we can say is which color is predominant. Red, blue, and green. If you have red more in one particular thing, then that is your mode of passion. So yes, Mat, you can say that. And then the bigger question is like, how can I cultivate the mode of goodness, or how can I kind of divert myself in? It kind of tells. Yes, you can say that, Matthew. Perfect. Because you can, that's an excellent point, because you cannot categorize anybody in a particular bucket, because Krishna is saying there is always a supremacy, that the mode of passion is sometimes stronger, mode of ignorance. In that way, it keeps on going. And so predominant mode of is what decides a personality. I'm in the mode of goodness only. Then no sleep. Prabhu, because I'm completely in no sleep, and then I look like a ghost. Why? Because no sleep. Sleep is needed. So the mode of ignorance has its own role to play. But if you indulge more in mode of ignorance, that is a problem, rather than completely not having the mode of ignorance. In the modern day, if you are not passionate, then you will be let go from the job like this. You are not doing anything. I'm a self-satisfied Atmaram. Chalo, niklo. That is a problem. So you can see how every mode has its own place. But for the spiritual advancement, one has to be in the mode of goodness as much as possible in their life. Is that okay? Okay. And here, the results are mentioned in this particular verse, in the 16th. When you are in the mode of goodness, you are happy. If you are in the mode of passion, you are really miserable. And then the beauty is, in the mode of ignorance, what is the symptom? Ignorance, complete ignorance. There is no, the reality is completely, completely changed about. So, and Srila Prabhupada actually writes in the purport about slaughtering animals as well. That is really in the mode of ignorance. So one should not. He goes very at length about cow killing in this. We can do that. And then what do you get from being in different modes is mentioned here. All right. Next verse, 17. Rohini. All right. I'll call.
Prabhu, give me a second. I'll open the tab. 1 second.
No problem. No problem. Take your time.
Prabhuji, so I think
everybody read?
Ishari Mataji and Payal Mataji wants to read again.
Okay, I hold on to that particular thought. I will actually try some devotees. Sachin, you want to go? Or how are you placed?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
I can read, Prabhu.
All right, you can read. All right. Text 17 will come up shortly, and as it is being readied to be projected onto the big screen for prime time consumption. Vishangi Mati, are you going to project? Okay, no problem. Take your time. Okay. Satvat sanjayate jnanam.
Satvat sangyayate jnanam.
Rajaso lobha evacha.
Rajaso lobha evacha.
Pramadamoha tamaso.
Pramadamoha tamaso.
Bhavato jnanam evacha.
Bhavato jnanam evacha. Translation. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance, develops foolishness, madness, and illusion.
Purport till for first few lines, Sachin, and we can.
Purport.
Yeah.
Since the present civilization is not very congenial to the living entities, Krishna consciousness is recommended. Through Krishna consciousness, society will develop the mode of goodness. When the mode of goodness is developed, people will see things as they are. In the mode of ignorance, people are just like animals and cannot see things clearly. In the mode of ignorance, for example, they do not see that by killing one animal, they are taking the chance of being killed by the same animal in the next life. Because people have no education and actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. To stop this irresponsibility, education for developing the mode of goodness of the people in general must be there. When they are actually educated in the mode of goodness, they will become sober, in full knowledge of things as they are. Then people will be happy and prosperous. Even if the majority of the people aren't happy and prosperous, if a certain percentage of the population develops Krishna consciousness and becomes situated in the mode of goodness, then there is the possibility for peace and prosperity all over the world.
Can you repeat? Can you read that statement again, Sachin?
Yes, Prabhu. Even if the majority of the people aren't happy and prosperous, if a certain percentage of population develops Krishna consciousness and becomes situated in the mode of goodness, then there is the possibility for peace and prosperity all over the world. Otherwise, if the world is devoted to the mode of passion and ignorance, there can be no peace or prosperity. Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Yes, please. The next few sentences.
Okay. In the mode of passion, people become greedy, and their hankering for sense enjoyment has no limit. One can see that if one has enough money and adequate arrangements for sense gratification, there is neither happiness nor peace of mind. That is not possible because one is situated in the mode of passion. If one wants happiness at all, his money will not help him. He has to elevate himself to the mode of goodness by practicing Krishna consciousness. When one is engaged in the mode of passion, not only is he mentally unhappy, but his profession and occupation are also very troublesome. He has to devise so many plans and schemes to acquire enough money to maintain his status quo. This is all miserable. In the mode of ignorance, people become mad, being distressed by their circumstances. They take shelter of intoxication and thus they sink further into ignorance. Their future in life is very dark.
And Sachin, do you see that happening around all over the Silicon Valley and other places, or is it just me?
I can 100% relate to this and also see it happening in not just Silicon Valley, like around the world.
Yeah. That's right. It's just this chapter is so practical. I humbly request you to read every purport. It is so like current, so real, how the modes are acting and how people are just it is happening all over the place. The major deals are happening over. People are addicted to so many substances and major deals, passion and of generating money and deals. and then you meet at bars and other places, and it's just a very vicious cycle. And as Sachin, he has first-hand view. He is from India, raised in Dubai, studied in Canada, and now in US. So he has seen certain world, even though he is just in his 20s. So when he says that it's happening all over the world, I take it.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. All right. Any questions on that? All right.
Yes, I had a question. There in the purport, it says that people are just like animals and cannot see things clearly. But in the mode of ignorance, they do not see that by killing one animal, they are taking the chance of being killed by the same animal in the next life. So I had a question, if some not for eating purpose or for pleasure, but if like the occupational requirements are where you kind of are involved in certain activities which are like ethically wrong or like immoral, but then because it's helping science and society, so I was like kind of confused, like what does it like imply in that term?
So Payal Matji, if I understand your question right, what does it mean to be born as an animal, to be killed by what does it mean to be killed by the other animal that you're killing?
I'm sorry?
Is the question you asked is, what do you mean by take? I didn't completely understand your question. So let me put it that way. If you can just repeat it, please. I'm not very smart or very...
Oh, no, Prabhuji. So what I meant was, there it says that by killing one animal, they are taking the chance of being killed by the same animal in the next life.
Correct.
So if I am like not like if I am involved in like taking away the life of certain animals, maybe not for pleasure purpose or for like eating or whatever, like just because those are the occupational requirements which are like ethically wrong or immoral. So like am I like taking the chance of being killed by that animal in the next life?
When you say ethically wrong or immoral, can you give like a concrete example of what you're referring to?
Because taking away life, if the life is not harming us, then that's not the right thing, right? Like, so like if we kill mosquitoes at our place, then because
Okay.
they are harming us. So
I
Krishna told, right, we need to do anything to protect our life, right? But then here, when it comes to occupation, they are not harming me, but still just for the benefit of science and society is what the occupation demands. And so I was kind of confused, and I always have this question whenever I kind of...
And that can extend to many things.
Yeah.
There can be like spiders in the house, or cockroaches, or maybe rats, whatever be it, and what needs to be done. So one has to define the intentions and the reason behind doing it. If one's intention is just to kill the poor animal to enjoy its flesh or otherwise, then there is every chance that you will encounter that. But as a part of day-to-day existence, if one takes care of removing the said mosquitoes or flies in a way that is less harmful after deliberation and consideration, having that into account is very different than being impulsive and just doing it with no consideration. So, we need to keep the house clean of pests and take care to control the infestation because of sanitary and many other reasons. And we have to do that. If there is some violence, it was not intentional. It was not done with a deliberate intention to harm that particular person. So that is really different. There will be some karma involved, but then we continue with our chanting and then pray to Krishna, saying that, there was some accident on my part, but it was not intentional. It's different from somebody trying to kill an animal just to enjoy. Is that helpful answer?
I'm still like wondering if killing the animals for like scientific study or that way is what I was.
Oh, scientific study.
Prabhu, I'll add one point, Prabhu.
Yes, Shankar.
So usually in genetic sciences, scientists will study research, will do research about genetics, right? They'll create an animal such a way that they'll couple a breed with another, and if this doesn't happen, they'll create a life. I mean, they won't create, they'll do some process so that a living being is created, and if something is not wrong, or if they feel something is wrong, they'll kill it. And also when it comes to doctors, Prabhu, like if a couple don't want a child, they'll do some kind of abortion. He's not the one who decides that, but even though their parents decide not to proceed with a child, but he has to do it. So maybe Payal Mataji is talking about that instance where a doctor is not making the decision, but the parents are making the decision, but on that behalf, he is taking the action. Was he involved in it? Maybe.
Yes. The second one is easier. Abortion is much easier to answer and much clearer. There is no gray area. It's black and white. It's a serious sinful activity, because there was a lustful propensity that was exercised, and you have to face the reactions of it. And to kind of say that I'll just be having the pleasure but not doing the responsibility and killing the child is actually a murder on multiple levels, and that's completely unacceptable. And you will be also born in the same womb and be killed next time, so it's a guaranteed. For the scientific experiments, fortunately, I have Pranath Prabhu with me. So Pranath Prabhu is a PhD in biotic sciences, and he is a well-known authority on his field. So Pranath Prabhu, anything you want to add on there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I am foolish. I don't know anything, Prabhu. But I think I understand Mataji's questions that, in research, you kill rats, you kill mice for discovery purposes in science. Am I right, Payal Mataji? Is that where you are headed to?
Yes. So I have that question. So, and I'm kind of reluctant to go ahead and kind of take that initiative. And so it's always dicey, like what to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's as my understanding is, as Prabhuji said, our intention matters. We are not doing this for sense gratification. It's part of a profession. If there is a choice where we can move into a different profession, ideally, yes, but sometimes, we don't have the choice. So as long as our consciousness, is right, Prabhu, am I in the right direction? Srivas Pandit Prabhu.
Yes. Actually, and then go ahead, Pranath, Prabhu.
Please, Prabhu, please.
No. Complete that thought. I have to look up something before I can answer that. So
yeah.
So I have that point here. If everyone go conscious, I am in Krishna consciousness, I don't want to kill the mouse, and everyone leave the scientific study, then who will do the scientific study? Like my daughter was in some research lab where they're killing, her job was to kill 100 of mouse every day, mice, rat, mouse, whatever. So that was her job in the college. So if everybody thinks that, I am in Krishna consciousness, I don't kill, so who will do the scientific study?
So I think Arjuna had the same dilemma in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, that he had to kill so many soldiers, and the soldiers were his own gurus and grandfather. So Pradeep, while that question is valid, there has to be some ethical consideration as well, and which Arjuna had that, because he said, I will not fight this war because it will involve slaughter of so many millions of human beings, and that can cause devastating effect on their families, on the social structure. So while blindly trying to say that, if I don't do it, who will do it, which means you will go to hell and others won't. So there is a specific ethical consideration that needs to be done, and if you can pull up 18th chapter, 17th verse. There are 5 factors of action, and one of the actions is impelled by Krishna. So while you are right, Pradeep, that somebody has to do that thankless job, one has to be aware that Krishna, I'm not doing this for my own ego or for my own egoistic satisfaction. In the 18th chapter, 17th verse, it's mentioned, Yasya naham krito bhavo buddhir yasya na lipyate atvapi saimal lokhan nahanti na nibhadyate. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his action. But if you are killing on the basis of false ego, if your intelligence is completely entangled, Pradeep, then you are actually going to hell. So there is a very, ethical consideration. There is a very spiritual consideration that needs to happen before one kind of goes into a black and white mode like that. Is that helpful?
Yeah, so it means the bhav is important.
Yes, it means that I'm not doing it from my egoistic perspective, and this is an activity I am put into. One example is there is a story in Mahabharata about butcher, whose profession from generation has been to kill, but he's a perfect personality. So there are considerations. These things require a more deeper discussion before one kind of quickly jumps on to one way or other. And Krishna is saying clearly here in this world, if there might be some considerations where there is no false ego involved and the intelligence is not entangled and you have to kill, and so you're not going to be killed. I'll give one last example. You're right, Pradeep, and then nobody will be a judge. Nobody will be a judge in this world because I can sentence a man to death and then I'll take that responsibility. Is the judge taking the responsibility? Is it driven by false ego? Is it driven by, no, it is like very clear. He's upholding the law and you have to sentence him. So there are multiple considerations, Pradeep. I just wanted to bring that. And Payal Mataji, is that okay?
Yes, this was very helpful. Thank you, everyone. And I apologize if this was not the correct forum to ask the question.
Payal Mataji and Kanay Gopal, this is the forum to answer questions. I don't need to take so much of time to explain because we can sit at home, we can read the Bhagavad Gita, we can take the exam and homeworks and get the certificate and move on in life. The charm of Bhakti Sastri course is that we all come together and we have finest minds, both from the material and spiritual perspective, like Pranath, who is like, he can answer it because he's in the industry and he is doing stuff. So that's the whole idea, Mataji. So please never ever feel that we are not asking.
Yes. So when I read that line, I was pricked and I wanted to ask that question once the reading stopped, and so I just.
Wonderful. Yes, you should keep asking questions. Never hesitate.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you. All right. While we will not take more questions. Kripatita Mataji, you still have a question. Your hand is raised. I hope it is. You don't have a question. We'll complete the whole thing.
I don't have a question. Sorry, I should get my hand off.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Martin, if you give me permission, let's complete the whole chapter, and then we can come back, because the reason this chapter is so beautiful is because of this. If a person is in the prison, what is the most important piece of information you need? When was the prison constructed? What is the material of the walls of the prison? what is the color of my bed, how many books are there in the library of the prison. No, the most important piece of information you need is how to get out of the prison. Yes or yes?
Yes.
Thank you, Pranath Prabhu. We'll discuss that important point, and then we'll take the question and answers. Otherwise, it'll be just such a tragedy that we didn't come to that part. All right. I need everybody to kind of get in on board, and then if not, I'll call those who didn't answer. You know what? Let's do Krishangi Gopi Mataji. Why not? Okay, Krishangi Gopi Mataji. Please do it with me. By the way, Krishangi Gopi Mataji is one of the silent personalities. She does everything in the background, but is never there. She's doing she's doing the screen projection. So thank you, Mataji. So Krishangi Mataji, you and me just read together, if that's okay. Yep.
Yes, Prabhu.
Urdvam gachanti satvasta.
Urdvam gachanti sattvasta.
Madhye tishtanti rajasah.
Madhye dishtanti rajasah.
Jaganya guna vrittista.
Jaganya guna vrittista.
Adho gachanti tamasah.
Adho gachanti tamasaha. Translation: those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Text 19. All right. All right, Rohini, back to you. Okay, Rohini, go for it.
Rama Prabhu wants to read.
Excellent. All right. Nanyam gunebhya kartaram.
Nanyam gunebhyah kartaram.
Yada drishtanu pashyati.
Yada drustanu pashyati.
Gunebhyascha param veti.
Gunebhyascha param veti.
Madbhavam sodigacchati.
Madbhavam so adhigacchati. When one properly sees that in all activities, no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature.
Thank you. Text 20.
Right.
Rohini.
Ishari Mataji and then Kanai Gopal Prabhu.
All right. Gunanetan atityatrin. Ishwari Radha Mataji, are you there?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes.
Okay, good. Gunan etan atityatrin.
Gunanetan atityatrin.
Dehi deha samudbhavan.
Dehi deha samudbhavan.
Janma mrityu jara dukhe.
Janma mrityu jara dukhe.
Vimukto mritam ashnute.
Vimukto mritam ashnute. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is the way to actually overcome the material nature. And Krishna is saying this is the secret. You can struggle as much as you want in this world to build as much of security base as you would like to. And it can mean anything, a lot of money, big business, health, prestige, so many things are there. You can build it up, but Krishna is saying that ultimately this will not give you the deep security and the peace and happiness And Krishna is encouraging that one has to rise above the modes of material nature. You cannot struggle in here. I'll give one example and hope you like it. Is anybody having experience or heard of quicksand? Quicksand.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes. Sachin, what is quicksand?
So it's basically very loose sand because there's a water source being pumped from below. But when someone steps on it, um, you submerge into it. But if you agitate, it drags you down more. If you try really hard to like struggle and get out of it, it pulls you down more. But if you just be relaxed and if you can calm down, think properly how to get out of it, you can slowly come out of the quicksand.
Does that seem like the material existence?
Yeah, I think Maya is our quicksand.
Seriously, think about it. Quicksand is a place where you don't struggle against it. You need to overcome it or you need to go above it. The fact is that Krishna's material energy is so powerful that from Brahma to Indra to the demigods are under its control. We jivas are nothing. We are just like a small bacteria trying to cross the Pacific Ocean. If you try to really cross the mode of material nature, Krishna is saying, don't try that. Don't build a base here. It's like fighting against the quicksand. The more you try to do this, the more you are implicated. The more you try to transcend it, the more you get freedom. So, Shankar, what does it mean on a regular basis? That we do our job, we do the best we can, we make sure we have a reasonable base that we work on, whatever be it, some security in terms of, yes, you should make sure that you have retirement money, you should take care of your health, not neglecting all these things. But the problem comes when you think that this is the only thing that is going to help me. That's where the problem comes, because the security from this is just not there. So I hope that helps answer. But as you go along, we can have more discussions on this.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu.
All right. The $1 million question, Arjuna asks, okay, now I know I'm in the prison, how to get out of it? And that's why, going back to the first one, this knowledge is the greatest because this gives you the information how to get out of this material existence. Who's next?
Kanai Gopal Prabhu and then Mukta Mataji.
Excellent. Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Kairlingai Strin Gunanetan.
Kairlingai Strin Gunan Etan.
Atito Bhavati Prabho.
Atito Bhavati Prabho.
Kimachara Katam Chaitams.
Kim Achara Katham Chaitams.
Trin Gunan Ativartate.
Trin Gunan Ativartate. Translation. Arjun inquired, "O my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior, and how does he transcend the modes of nature?"
So this is where the last question is the key or the chabi to get out of the prison. Yes or yes? Yeah, that's important. All right. Who's next? Rohini? Sorry.
Mukta Mataji.
All right. Mataji, big one ahead of you. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Prakasham cha pravrittim cha.
Prakasham cha pravrittim cha.
Moham eva cha Pandava.
Moham eva cha Pandava.
Nadveshti sampravrittani.
Nadveshti sampravrittani.
Nivrittani kankshati.
Na nivrittani kankshati.
Udasina vadasino.
Udasina vadasino.
Gunairyo na vichalyate.
Gunairyo na vichalyate.
गुणावर्तन्तीत्येवम्
गुणावर्तन्ते इत्येवम्
योऽवतिष्ठति नेङ्गते
योऽवतिष्ठन्ति निङ्गते
समदुःखः सुखस्वस्थः
समदुःख सुखस्वस्था
समलोष्टांशकाञ्चन
समलोष्टांश्च काञ्चन
तुल्या प्रिया प्रियो धीरस्
तुल्या प्रिया प्रियो धीरस्
तुल्यनिन्दात्मसंस्तुतिः
तुल्यनिन्दात्मसंस्तुतिः
मानापमानयोस्तुल्यः
मानापमानयो तुल्यस्
तुल्यो मित्रारिपक्षयोः
तुल्यो मित्रारिपक्षयोः
सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी
सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी
गुणातीतः स उच्यते
गुणातीतः स उच्यते. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal towards the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friends and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature.
Thank you. So here Arjuna asks what is his behavior and what is his symptoms. So first few statements are the behavior and then few are the symptoms. So if you can see, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who's unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active. So you can see there are few, this is a behavior, and then there are symptoms, like who looks upon lump of earth, stone, equal towards desirable, and who is steady. So there are few qualities like this that are mentioned here. And we can go into really deep into it. And knowing this, my dear devotees, I promise you that you'll become callous. You'll become happily situated in this material world. And the biggest question and the most important question that we need to get answered, 26th verse. Bhumika Mataji. Mam chayo vyavicharena. Bhumika Mataji, we cannot, you are unmuted, but we cannot hear you. Mataji, are you there?
It's 3 o'clock.
All right, we are okay. Okay, who else wants to go? Sorry, Bhumika, you can now. I cannot hear you. We are okay. Okay, Namsmaran Prabhu is coming to her rescue. Okay. Sachinandan Hari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now perfectly. Thank you.
Mam chayo vicharena
Bhakti yogena sevate
bhakti yogena sevate
sagunan samatityaitan
saguna samiti taitan
brahma bhuyaya kalpate.
brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Translations. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Thank you, Prabhu.
The example I can give is that by performing unalloyed devotional service is that you are in the prison, and then the president or the prime minister of the country has come to meet you. Then will they let you out of the prison or no? It's a byproduct. It's like it's no big deal at all. You have a somehow good connection with the president, and the president says, okay, pull him out, or I have come to meet you. So yes, sir. They'll open you the doors of prison and you can go. So Krishna is saying, Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. That those who perform ananya bhakti, pure devotional service, at once transcend the modes of material nature. It is when we are on the path of pure devotional service, the modes of material nature actually don't act upon us. And therefore, the pure devotional service has the power to cleanse the heart like nothing else, because Krishna is, just cutting the modes of passion and ignorance have just cut. Tada rajastamo bhava kama lobha dayasya chet eterana vidyam sitam sate prasidati. The Bhagavatam says that those who read the Bhagavatam and who hear and absorb in the pastimes of Krishna, the modes of hankering, the modes of passion and ignorance are just completely destroyed. And we are doing that means to kind of overcome that. It's a beautiful purport. I wish we had more time to discuss that. But the last verse, please. Rohini, you decide who is the last person.
Sachinandan Hari Prabhu.
All right, Sachinandan Hari Prabhu. Brahmano hi pratishtaham.
Brahmano hi pratishtaham.
Amritasya vyayasya cha.
Amritasya vyayasya cha.
Shashvatasya cha dharmasya.
Shashvatasya cha dharmasya.
Sukhasya ekantikasya cha.
Sukhasya ekantikasya cha. Translation. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness.
Thank you. And the purport, Srila Prabhupada, it's a beautiful purport. Please take your time to read. Every purport is beautiful, but it's the connection between Bhagavan and Brahman is given here. Just like if one approaches, if one meets the president, then automatically the jail cells open up. Similarly, one who does pure devotional service to Krishna, then one is already on the platform of Brahman, and what is Brahman is mentioned here. So I think we'll stop here. The time is also 3 o'clock. We'll take some final questions or comments, and then we can start. I see the hands raised by Timir and Namasmaran Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandavat Pranam. I have two questions, Prabhu. So first, here in this verse, Krishna says that who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy. So he says like who treats alike both friend and enemy. So this verse came into my mind when I was reading another verse by Rupa Goswami, where he says that someone who chants the name of Krishna, we need to respect them by the mind, and someone who has undergone spiritual initiation, we should do pranam to them. So like that. So for that verse, somebody may say that like who is not in Rupa Goswami Sampradaya, they may say that whatever Rupa Goswami has written, it may seem that he is violating what Krishna is saying. So how do we understand that?
So your question, if I understand, Timir, is that you should be very neutral, which means that you should consider everybody equal. But then you are saying that Rupa Goswami has asked to discriminate, and that seems a contradiction. Is that right?
Yes, Prabhu.
So Okay, before I answer, did everybody get the question? Did anybody not get it? Okay, everybody knows the question.
Yes.
This is the famous verse Krishneti yasya giritam manasadri. That's a verse from the Nectar of Instruction. The idea here is that nobody, the enemy and the friend are constructs of material world. In actuality, everything is done by Krishna. So the person who is rendering pure devotional service remains neutral as far as the constitutional position goes. But having said that, amongst the society of the Vaishnavas, there is the gradation that needs to be done for our own advancement. If one is not able to discriminate who is an advanced Vaishnava, then how can I serve? And if the service is given to a Kanishta Vaishnava instead of just a mere respect, then I'll just be a Kanishta. So there is that aspect, but nevertheless, Timir, both Uttama and Kanishta have the same spiritual basis, and that is what is being mentioned here. So it is an etiquette and externally, but at the same time, this is more of an internal perspective that has to be done. Is that helpful?
Yes, Prabhu. So it means that when we are dealing with other people who are not devotees, so then we should not disrespect anyone. We should respect everyone. But when we are dealing with devotees, then when we meet like senior devotees, so we should offer service to them. So like that will help in our advancement.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. And then the second question is that in the beginning you said that Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, by understanding philosophically this chapter, we will come to the conclusion. So I just wanted to remind you. You said that in the end you will speak why it's that.
In the end, I said that one has to know the key of getting out in the prison. That's all I said. It was not about philosophical discussion, but the key is devotional service, and it's easy to get out of the prison. Though that's not the goal of devotional service, it is one of the byproducts.
Okay, so what Prabhupada meant that when we read the chapter, yeah, because we don't have to do any speculation. Krishna is saying it directly that by doing that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then the other thing is, even if you put in philosophical speculation, you can still observe in the nature. Like, oh, that guy is in the mode of passion. This guy is in the mode of goodness. This guy is in the mode of evil. You can see and perceive. So that even if you put philosophical discussion, then it makes sense. And that's the reason why Prabhupada invited. Try it.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Namaskaram.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, it was me.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
So I have a question from text 22nd. It says that one who does not hate illumination nor long for it. So does it mean that you are not seeking knowledge?
The idea here is that if you go into the purport, the prakasham cha nivrittim cha. So the verse here is, let's look it up. Prakasham cha pravrittim cha moham eva cha pandava nadveshinapsam. The idea is that material knowledge, which is being mentioned here, by it, nor am I repelled by it. So, and then if I have it, it is good. If I don't have it, then I'm not too worried about it. So that is the whole attitude there, Mataji. That is the only thing that's mentioned here, not specifically, not to seek knowledge, and not definitely the spiritual knowledge, which then anyway we need to seek.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
And I think you'll be in the modern technology world, you are forced to. The changes are so mind-boggling. that you really have to be neutral. Otherwise, you'll be, oh my God, my past life was great, and I was great in one particular language, and now that language is out of demand, and now, anyways, you get the idea. Thank you, Sastri, for the question. All right. I'm so grateful to every one of you that you patiently sat and listened. And please forgive me for any offenses. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time, and we'll do the Purushottam Yoga chapter, the 15th chapter, which is the short chapter but very profound chapter. And then probably we might have we'll have, if we have one class for 15th, 16th, 17th, and 2 classes for 18th, which is total of 5 classes. And then we can have exams sometime in January. So there is always the problem, the holidays will give time to prepare, and some devotees usually don't want to, prepare during the holidays. But if that is the case, be well prepared before holidays and then give the exam afterwards. And for those who want time during the holidays, they can use that time. So we'll have the exam sometime in January, February, January time frame mostly. And then the next semester can start after that. So far, so good. Any questions on the exam dates? Pradeep, you're okay?
Yes, I'm okay. But I'm not giving the exam.
Okay, you're not giving the exam, Pradeep? Why?
No, I think it's too early for me.
Early for you. All right, Pradeep. I'm so glad that you are at least coming to the classes and asking all these wonderful questions. So thank you.
This is the first time I'm attempting to read or understand anything about Gita. So I think it's too early.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you so very much. I'll see you all in 2 weeks' time. Vancha kalpataru virascha, kripa sindhu jayaccha, pradidhanam pavani. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishangi.